but the union makes us strong. Stop the pension cuts forever. Stop the pension cuts forever. Stop exploiting us forever, and the union makes us strong.
Hi, I'm Alice from UBTV, and as you can see, I'm outside the arts complex on campus at the moment with a picket behind me, and there's multiple all up the street and all over the campus. So today we're going to speak to some people and find out more about the UCU strikes.
I work at the Richmond Building. I work in the Centre for Academic Language and Development, and I'm a tutor there. So we're striking today for pensions and the forfeits. So we're striking because our pensions are basically being decimated, and they really don't need to be. They're based on false assumptions and bad maths. And the forfeits are anti-casualisation. We want to narrow the gender and ethnicity pay gap. The workload and better conditions basically across the board. No more marketisation of education.
This is our second week of strike action, our sixth day of strike action, striking for pensions and our forfeits campaign. Well, we're striking for 5 very good reasons. First reason, in no particular order, would be our pensions. We've just heard some very worrying news, very concerning news, and very disappointing news on Friday that the university, despite our remonstrations, is backing potentially very damaging, life-altering cuts to our pension scheme. We're also campaigning for pay equality, but despite one's gender or one's ethnicity, one gets the paid same as a comparative colleague. We're also arguing for an end to precarity, an end to casual contracts in universities up to a point, and we're arguing as well for a fair workload for staff as well, a manageable workload, as well as a pay increase.
I'm a lecturer in comparative literatures and cultures in the School of Modern Languages, and I'm the director of the BA in Comp Lit and Cultures. And the thing is that we're all feeling quite frustrated today because the university can choose to end this strike if they so choose to. They can choose to resolve it, and they haven't done that, and that's really frustrating because we as lecturers aren't asking for very much. We're not hugely paid people. We don't have the big pay packets of the Vice-Chancellor and other people in the world who do important work like us. My pension is going to be about £9,000 at the moment. That's a poverty pension. I can't stand here and do my work and teach my students well, also if I know that my colleagues are on 10-month contracts, as some of them here today are. It's a disgrace, and it's bound up with tuition fees and the whole marketisation of higher education. And you know, my students have been so great, they've been very supportive, but they're paying huge tuition fees, and where is that money going to? They think it's going to their tuition. It's not. Well, that's the question I want an answer to.
So you touched on it there. What's the feedback been like from students and members of the university? Has it been good? Has it been bad?
I mean, the thing that I'm always really touched and moved by being on the picket line is by being reminded of the way that the university really is a community of scholarship. You know, it's not about the student experience versus the kind of lecturers working blah blah blah. It's a shared community of scholarship and research and love. And so my students and many of our students have just, you know, blown us away with the ways that they immediately understand the situation, because it is their situation too. And have really turned out for us, and that's brilliant. I mean, of course, some people are frustrated. I completely understand that. It's really frustrating. I'm really sorry that those students, our students, are having their education swept up in this, and that's why I wish the university would move to negotiate and accept the union's proposals.
Nice, thank you.
So last week we were striking over pensions. These 2 days we're striking over pensions and the forfeits, which are things like fair pay, pay equality, workload and job security. So we call it precarity. So lots of people are working on things like fixed term contracts or things that are a bit like 0 hours contracts, and they don't know whether they're going to be working at the university next year. And in some cases loads of people have been working at the university for 4, 5, 6, 7 and up years. So we're here to end that. There's been a lot of amazing student support. We just had some very nice flapjacks and samosas. People have been putting together open letters, writing to the VC, asking them to end the strikes. Of course, some students are quite pissed off, and they have every right to be, because they're missing out on the teaching and the seminars and lectures that they're here to do, but we don't really have any other choice.
Well, my name is Peter Peasy. I'm a teaching associate and in the Department of Theatre, and I also teach in the liberal arts programme, and I'm the representative for the UCU for the theatre department. I found it really hard to listen to the university continuously say that our activity is impacting student experience. There's a few reasons for that, I think, because firstly, it clearly does, and I find that personally really difficult to come to terms with. Like, genuinely keeps me awake, the idea that my not being here whilst you are paying makes me feel like I'm failing you, frankly. I'm sure that's how it might feel to you as well. But at the same time, I don't feel in many respects that the students' experience is fully understood or comprehended by the senior management. For me, student experience is me sitting in my office with a student who's scared about their submission. It's taking a student who's having a mental health crisis and walking them down the street to go and find a doctor. It's being there when I'm needed, and the conditions of my employment are increasingly making that difficult, if not extremely difficult. I'll give you a case in point. In the department where I work, I know of at least one personal tutor who has something in the region of about 60 personal tutees. The idea of being able to know each of them as individuals, respond to their specific needs, and be able to meet those needs effectively is a farce. And whilst those conditions perpetuate any rhetoric around protecting student mental health or servicing educational needs, is frankly just that, rhetoric.